Four Spheres of Knowledge Creation. The Causal Principles by René Holmbjerg Bøtker. Part 2. The Human Experience. Chapter 3. Ontology and Epistemology. Ontology is the study of being, beyond and in connection to the material world. It is a study of becoming. Epistemology is also a study of becoming. However, it takes over where ontology ends, at the beginning of the material world. Here, epistemology studies how we as human beings develop knowledge, or episteme, as per the ancient Greek philosophers. The concepts of ontology and epistemology are inextricably connected, as one provides the foundation for the other. The ontological ideas of Leibniz are quite ordinary for anyone that has a fundamental insight into contemporary physics. They are quite unusual for anyone who hasn't. At the time of Leibniz, 200 years before the birth of quantum mechanics, the ideas of immaterial objects, immaterial interaction, and multiple universes were radical and did not sit favorably with his contemporaries. Instead, Newton's classical physics of objects interacting in absolute space and time was accepted as the prevailing theory of physics. As noted earlier, Immanuel Kant dismissed many of the theories presented by Leibniz in favor of Newton. It was especially the ontology of Leibniz that was abandoned. Newton's perspective of objects physically interacting in absolute space and time took precedent as the foundation of epistemology. Perhaps because the idea of objects interacting in absolute space and time concurred with the human experience of the world, and this was what Kant was seeking an explanation to. Anything beyond objects in absolute space and time were deemed unknowable as they could not be presented in conceptual form. Though Leibniz's theories were largely dismissed, elements of his thoughts emerged repeatedly throughout the German idealist tradition in scattered forms detached from their ontological roots. Argumentations were reframed as causal, psychological, and sociological explanations. They were elaborated and expanded into new forms with new perspectives. Some of these developments became foundations of new theories separated from their ontological and epistemological roots, and with time the entire field of knowledge creation ended up in a confused state where a coherent system is difficult to identify. Concepts are disconnected from each other, and coherent understandings are difficult to come by as their existence is dependent on the paradigm in which they exist. To achieve the objective of finding causal principles, the psychological and sociological argumentations are abandoned in the process of developing an incomplete structure of causal principles. The completion of this structure will be done by projecting the epistemological concepts of Hegel and Schopenhauer through the ontology of Leibniz. From this projection, we will be able to observe the taxonomies, which we use to enable and constrain knowledge in absorptive and creative processes. From this projection, the causal principles of knowledge creation will become evident.